The metal was cold against his chest, a polished silver disc etched with alien glyphs. He stood at stiff attention in the vast, echoing hall of the Galactic Concordance Assembly, the only human in a sea of willowy Zelians, hulking Gorons, and floating Catheri orbs. The ceremony was for heroism, for his actions during the breach of Cygnus 4, where he had single-handedly held a plasma conduit from overloading, saving 300 beings of various species. His reward, beyond the medal, was unprecedented. As a token of our deepest gratitude, the Zelian Chancellor intoned, her voice a melodic chime, and in accordance with the ancient rites of the Catheri, for profound life debts, we award you a companion. A side portal hissed open. The creature that padded out was not what he expected. It was leonine, but not a lion. Its form was built of corded muscle under a pelt of deep star-flecked indigo. 4 amber eyes, intelligent and watchful, set in a proud face. It moved with a lethal, liquid grace, coming to a halt beside the podium, its gaze fixed on the human soldier. It was a Zarkonian lynx, a species so rare and bonded so deeply to their own kind that giving one as a companion was an act of immense, almost sacred significance. And he knew from briefings a political statement. The Zarkonians were a reclusive warrior aristocracy, and this gift was their olive branch, delivered via human hands. He was given a data slate, care instructions, dietary needs, behavioral warnings. It listed the creature's name in flowing script, but he found he could not pronounce the harmonic. He looked into its 4 eyes. "I'll call you Leo," he whispered. One of Leo's ears twitched. Their quarters on the Concordance station were standard issue. Sterile, metallic, humming with ambient systems. Leo surveyed it all with silent disdain, then leapt onto the only recliner, curling up and filling it completely. The human sighed and took the hard bench. The first weeks were an exercise in mutual, polite isolation. The human, a creature of routine and quiet, went about his duties. Leo was a shadow, following at a precise distance of 3 paces, a silent, regal observer. The data slate said Zarkonian lynxes communicated through complex body language and subsonic purrs. They were empathic, to a degree science could not fully map. The human felt laid bare before that quiet gaze, his loneliness, his quiet grief. For fallen comrades, his nagging sense of dislocation among the stars, all seemingly perceived and catalogued. The change began subtly. The human would wake from a nightmare, the old screams of Cygnus 4 echoing in his skull, and find Leo pressed against his bunk, a solid, warm weight, a deep, resonant purr thrumming through the deck plating, smoothing the sharp edges of his padding. He started talking, not just giving commands, but speaking. He told Leo about Earth's forests, oceans of water instead of methane, about the weight of real soil. Leo would listen, all 4 eyes #LID in return. Leo began to guide him. On patrol through the station's biodome, the lynx would freeze, staring at a seemingly empty patch of ferns. Moments later, a maintenance drone would whir out, or a shy, 6-limbed Melian would emerge to tend its fungus. Leo was teaching him to see, to perceive the station not as a schematic, but as a living ecosystem. The human learned to read the slight flick of a tail tip, the angle of ears, the dilation of 4 amber pools. They developed a silent language of their own. The Concordance was not universally peaceful. Factions schemed. The Borley Federation, expansionist and rigid, viewed the human-Zarkonian bond as a dangerous alliance, a threat to their own influence. When the human squad was assigned to escort a vulnerable scientific envoy through the lawless Deneb sector, he knew Leo would come. Regulations forbade non-sentient companions on tactical missions. The human simply stated, he is not a companion. He is part of the unit. The Zelian commander, understanding nuances humans often missed, approved. The attack came in the dark of transit, where sensors were blind. Orly pirates, their ships like jagged iron scars, latched onto the envoy's vessel. Boarding pods slammed home. Alarms blared. The human's world narrowed to the corridor outside the science lab, the crack of his pulse rifle, the shouts of his squad, the acrid smell of ozone and hot metal. Then, a new sound. A roar that was. Not a roar, but a vibrational shriek that made the very bulkheads resonate. A blur of indigo shot past his leg, moving faster than anything so solid had a right to move. In the strobing emergency lights, Leo became a phantom. He did not claw or bite like a beast. He struck like a force of nature. He would flow up a wall, rebound, and land on a pirate's back, not to maul, but to dislocate. A precise strike from a massive paw would send a weapon clattering away. He used his weight, his speed, a terrifying understanding of kinetic force. He protected the human's flank, not by attacking blindly, but by disrupting, disarming, and creating openings. A pirate, armored and huge, lunged at the human from a side conduit. The human was turned, engaging another. He heard the movement too late. He braced for the impact, but it never came. Leo intercepted the charge mid-air, taking the full force of the armored body against his own. They crashed to the deck in a tangle. The human spun, heart freezing. He saw Leo scramble up, a leg clearly injured, but he placed himself between the human and the fallen pirate, a snarl on his lips that promised absolute finality. The pirate did not rise again. The battle ended. The ship was secured. In the medical bay, the human sat beside the Regan unit where Leo's leg was being knit. He placed a hand on the lynx's head, not speaking. Leo's purr was pained, but present. They returned to Concordance Station as something new. Not a soldier and a pet, not a master and a beast. They were a pair, a binary system. The bond was now visible to all. They moved in perfect silent synchrony. In the mess hall, Leo would nudge a nutrient pack the human disliked off the tray. The human would know, without looking, when Leo desired to go to the observation deck to watch the stars. The Borley Federation protested. They called the lynx a bioweapon. They called the bond unnatural, a violation of species boundaries. They demanded Leo be surrendered for study. The human stood before the assembly again, but this time he was not alone. Leo stood beside him, a living testament. The human spoke simply. You called him a companion. You are right, but you did not understand what that means. It is not ownership. It is not mastery. It is partnership. He is not a tool. He is my friend. You gave me a symbol, and we forged a truth. You cannot unmake it. A Zarkonian ambassador, a being of similar form to Leo, but larger and clad in ornate harnesses, was present for the first time. Its voice, when it spoke, was a thunderous melody in their minds. The human speaks a truth we Zarkonians know. The bond is sacred because it is chosen. It alters both. You see a soldier and a beast. We see two warriors who have woven their spirits. The gift was given. It is now theirs. To demand its return is to understand nothing. The political landscape shifted. The rigid, hierarchical Borley, who saw relationships only in terms of dominance and utility, could not comprehend this. Their arguments fell flat. Other species, particularly those with pack bonds or collective consciousnesses, began to look at humanity with new eyes. Humans, it seemed, possessed a unique capacity for horizontal bonding across the unimaginable gulf of species. They did not seek to conquer or assimilate. They could join without either party losing themselves. The human and Leo were reassigned, not to a war zone, but to a new diplomatic course. They became facilitators, mediators. Intense negotiations. The presence of the bond, the calm soldier, and his serene, powerful companion acted as a stabilizer. It was a silent, living proof that profound understanding was possible. They could walk into a room of distrust and without a word soften the hardest edges. One evening, in their quarters, now filled with items from both their worlds, a human photograph of a mountain next to a zirconian crystalline resonance stone. The human sat on the floor, leaning against Leo's warm side. He was reading a report. Leo's head was in his lap, all four eyes closed, the deep purr a constant comfort. The human looked down at the star-flecked fur, at the powerful creature that had chosen to share his life. The Medal of Honor was in a drawer somewhere, forgotten. This, the weight and warmth and trust beside him, was the real award. It was a bond that had altered him, altered perceptions, and was slowly, subtly, altering the cold calculus of galactic politics itself. It whispered a revolutionary truth. That strength was not in singularity, but in the quiet, unbreakable space between two different hearts, beating in unison.